Experts say cybercriminals are only getting smarter and really in some ways sadistic. Now they could be targeting some of America's youngest, most vulnerable internet users. It's like this plot literally ripped straight from the show on Netflix. You might have seen it, Black Mirror. Teens establish connections online. They share intimate messages and photos. The scammers then threaten to release those unless they get paid. We've seen several cases where the situations end tragically. It ends with the loss of life. Let's bring in Rania Mankarious. She is the CEO of Crime Stoppers of Houston, and she is on the front lines working to end plots like these and really, in the end, save lives. Thank you for being here, Rania. So just walk us through this game, if you would. Does it start on, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter? How does this go?
So here's the thing, it starts everywhere. It starts wherever our kids are on. We see it a lot on gaming devices, but we also see it on social media platforms. The idea is that predators know that your kids are there, that they're vulnerable, they can be manipulated, and oftentimes they can be extorted. And this is why it's so important that parents are aware of this and have critical conversations with their children. Because let's be honest, these kids once approached don't know how to handle these situations, and one-fourth will end up committing suicide.
Oh my gosh, a fourth. Do we have any idea how many kids have gone through this and have died?
We don't, only because it's not reported. And here's one of the problems.
Many parents probably don't know.
They don't know. They don't know this is happening. They don't know why a child has ended up taking their own lives. We know that the laws right now don't support a parent's right to take over a phone, open social media accounts if they don't have the passwords. So the law is a bit behind where we need to be in terms of the protection of children.
I think a lot of us, we should say, are not on these games, but they talk to each other through, the headphones and the games and things like that. And it's not only like seducing a kid to then send them something that they might somehow gain access to their iCloud and say, I took something you had on there and now you're mine.
Exactly. And that's what's happening. So it's both. You're seeing predators target kids, lure them, talk to them for many, many months before they get them to take a photo or video and share it. But you also have predators that say, hey, I've already gotten access. I've already watched you watch videos you shouldn't be watching. I've already gotten hold of pictures you shouldn't have taken. And listen, 9 times out of 10, a kid might say, wait a minute, maybe I did watch something I wasn't supposed to watch. I don't know. There could be photos on my system. They don't know. And it's easy to manipulate them. And that's the key. The greatest tool that a predator has is an immature child, which all of our kids are just by nature of biology and their cognitive development, and parents who don't know what's going on. And let's just throw this fact out there. During COVID, the online solicitation of minors went up by 93%. 93%. So there is an appetite for these children. They're easy targets. They're easy to control and manipulate. And these predators know that. They pretend they live in the same town, maybe go to a neighboring school. They're very calculated. It's an organized crime ring with seasoned predators. But in a most recent case out of Houston, where a young boy did take his life this past January, the predator was actually posed as a young, attractive girl trying to lure this 14-year-old boy in. But he was actually an older man in the Philippines. So he had just targeted this boy, was able to make a connection, and actually this young man ended up taking his own life within 2 days of being targeted. That's how crazy and dangerous this can be.
How do we go about actually protecting them? If we take this to the police or to the FBI, will they do anything?
They certainly will do whatever they can. But the reality is, I go back to my previous statement, the laws are not where they need to be. These social media platforms have protections that far exceed the protections and the rights of our kids and parents. So that is a problem. The conversations with children are critical. Screenshotting, keeping track of everything, every form of communication is critical. There's technology like Bark that uses AI, to monitor a child's phone. That's extremely valuable because, let's face it, parents can't see every text, every image, be on top of every conversation, especially when our kids use so many different platforms we're not familiar with. So there are tools to help, but nothing will be as strong as a parent who has armed and equipped a child to handle these situations before they're approached by them.
I'm so glad you're on this, Rania. I'm so glad Crime Stoppers of Houston. It sounds like, police, FBI, Congress should be listening as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.